happened. There was something that just happened. I'm not aware of it, but I feel like a bomb's about to go off, and yeah, it is what it is. Anyways, welcome on to Chasing Points. Oh man, we got all sorts of fun stuff ready to rock and roll for you guys. We're just doing a recap on what happened for week 2. We're live every other week. You can join Jordan, myself, and Thomas. Come check us out, Dynasty Happy Hours Chasing Points. So let's go ahead. Jordan, what's going on, man? How you doing? Introduce yourself. Where can we find you?
Oh, man, I'm fantastic here. So I'm Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Santos L. Halper 83. You can find me here every other week on DHH Chasing Points, and hopefully on our Start and Sit show that we'll be doing on Sunday mornings, as well as any content that I put up will be at fantasyintervention.com or on Twitter at jointourcircle_.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Thomas, what's up, man? Where can we find you?
What up? Oh, man, I'm doing good. Just ready for the bomb to drop. Kansas City and Baltimore tonight. Going to be not good for Baltimore. But look, you can find me at ThomasFF. You can see my handle there down at the bottom. You can catch me Tuesday nights with the Fantasy Walkabout, Friday nights with the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. You can catch my work with the Dynasty Vipers and Fantasy Intervention with that guy right there on my top left. And do that.
Yeah, and you guys go check me out over there at let's go. You guys go check us out over there, of course. Fantasy Intervention. This is a big part, big session. Big thank you to Tyler for putting us on here. Yeah, let's go ahead and unroll this week. It was mainly underwhelming, to be honest with you guys. Like it was 5 or 6 games minimum were over 50-point over-unders. It did not equal out to that. The 1 o'clock games were extremely disappointing. We saw a ton of blowouts, ton of awkward scores. Like I'm sitting here looking at it. We got 25-6, 35-0, 17-11, 26. I mean, it was just ugly. Like it was ugly.
We had a scoregami in the Cowboys and Chargers game. If you follow that, it was 14-11 at half, and that's the first time an NFL game has ever ended at the half 14-11.
No way. Jordan,
Damn.
Jordan coming in with the hard-hitting facts. Absolutely love it.
Scoregami.
Yeah, scoregami, baby.
I love it, man. It's been an awkward week, but I feel like there are a few different games that we have to cover. Obviously, fantasy points, being a big aspect of it. Let's start out with the game that just ended. We expected the Chargers and Cowboys game to be a big hitter. This is something that kind of shocked me because I thought that Diggs would be up against Williams. I thought that Keenan Allen would have a field day. I expected Amari Cooper to have a subpar day, and for people to actually, Ezekiel Elliott to have somewhat of a decent day. However, Tony Pollard took over the lead running back role for the Cowboys. Meanwhile, Mike Williams dominated over there, up against Anthony Brown. Was there anything that shocked you guys out of this game? We're going to start with Thomas.
No. It did not shock me anyway that Tony Pollard looked better than Zeke because, part of the course.
I knew that was coming.
Look, last week when the call was that Zeke lined up as the ump back is exactly what Zeke looks like running the football, an ump back. Tony Pollard looks great. He has standalone value. He's fantastic with the ball in his hands. He creates in space. He's the better receiver. The offense just looks better with him. I'm not surprised by anything. Amari Cooper didn't play well away from home. Big shocker. CeeDee Lamb is amazing. Shocker. No, everything about this game was pretty much part of the course for me here. I mean, Eckler did his thing. Mike Williams did his thing. Keenan Allen did his thing.
Yep.
Everything you could kind of expect happened.
Jordan?
Yep. Yeah. You and I went over this game in the sit-start show. We thought it was going to be high scoring. My one call of the day was Pollard over Zeke, so I was correct on that. But it was sort of surprising how kind of body blows that game was for me. I figured it would be up and down more, and it was a body blow game. So I escaped out of it, but it wasn't what I expected.
I mean, Zeke still did his thing, right? He got the touchdown. Yeah. He got 2 receptions, 26 yards. Had 71 yards rushing. So it wasn't a disappointment if he did start Zeke. However, Tony Pollard smashed faces in a lot of leagues. I mean, he's either going to be trade bait for some people or he's going to be a buy candidate. So I really want to see what this kind of trends towards moving forward. Let's go ahead and move on.
Do not move Tony Pollard. Don't do it. Don't.
Unless he can exploit your Zeke owners.
I'm
not
just
even
saying,
not even then.
Oh
Like
man,
not only does he have standalone value, but
Mhm.
if like look what happened in week 15 last week when he played San Francisco and he literally carried people to titles. Like
True.
don't trade Pollard unless someone gives
Oh.
you something ridiculous, but don't do it.
Well, here's the deal with Pollard, right? Like, if you have Pollard, you don't know when to start him. There'll be some weeks where it's like, you don't want to start him. Some weeks where you do, but you'll always
start
run
him
into
every
this
week.
issue. So you can start him every week, Thomas. So let's move on to the game that was more of a blowout in the fourth quarter, where you have the Falcons and the Buccaneers. I mean, dude, everybody was catching touchdowns for the Buccaneers, including the defense. Mike Evans came back out, had 5 receptions for 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. Meanwhile, the Falcons, like, they were looking for opportunities to score, and they were just turning the ball over. Is Matt Ryan, although he went 35, 46, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, is he bust at this point? Are we done with Matt Ryan? Is he even a 2-quarterback league type quarterback? What's going on? Talk to me.
Well, I think you have to play Matt Ryan in 2 quarterback leagues. I mean, as a superflex spot, superflex mediocre pylon quarterbacks are kind of king because you can get them relatively cheaply, and the offense is going to get better when they stop playing Mike Davis.
Yeah.
I wish they would learn that sooner rather than later. The picks were bad, but desperation, right? So 4 point passing touchdown league, Matt Ryan 16.3 was better than Dak's 7 point. So if you're worried about Matt Ryan, you should be just as worried about Dak, but we're not. So as Kyle Pitts get better, which Kyle Pitts, pretty darn good day, 5 of 6, 72 yards. That's a tight end 1 right there, right? So as he gets better and other players get better, they stop using Mike Davis for the love of everything holy in fantasy football. Stop doing it. And they start using Patterson more. No, I'm not worried about Matt Ryan at his cost, where you got him. He's fine. If you're worried about him, be worried about Dak, right? That's how you got to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, who are your better options at this point? You're not going to find anybody on the waiver wire. You could try and trade. You're going to get hosed on the trade. So if you got Matt Ryan, that's a complete hold pattern. Thomas is 100% correct. Mike Davis looks like Atlanta's version of Fat Gucci Man right now. Like, I mean, he's like
bad,
just bumbling, and you don't know what's going on. And Cordell Patterson looks like Cordell Patterson. I mean, he hits the line with speed and burst and aggression, and that's something we haven't seen out of Atlanta since Devonta Freeman's rookie year. So I think that you are absolutely in a hold pattern on Matt Ryan. If you have somebody in their league looking to get rid of him, go get him. If you got a 2-quarterback league, because he's on the cheap, and they're going to throw. They're going to be down every single game, so they're going to have to throw. Exactly.
Look good. The defense looked good to start out the game, but then obviously, when you only have all first rounders, across the board and no depth, they're going to run out of gas towards the end of the game, and that's what happened. We saw after the second quarter, third quarter, they kind of fell apart to an extent. But as you talked about with the quarterback position, right? Trying to find depth. We did have 2 quarterbacks that went down this week in Tua, right? And of course,
Tua looked bad.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor.
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz, I think, is more of a temporary thing, but we can include Carson Wentz in this. So let's actually talk about it. Which quarterback are you the least concerned about? Which quarterback are you the most concerned about? And which quarterback are you keeping on your roster? Let's do a keep, trade, cut version of these 3 quarterbacks if you have them on your roster. So we have Tua Tagovailoa, right? We have Tyrod Taylor, and we have Carson Wentz. Which one are you trading? Which one are you keeping? Which one are you cutting? We'll start with you, Jordan.
I think I'm keeping Tyrod based on the injury. He gives me the most upside out of those guys, and I absolutely trust him. If you look back at his fantasy stats when he actually does get to start and gets that full game, he's extremely reliable, takes care of the ball, and has rushing upside. I think I'm going to try and trade Tua, and I'm just going to cut Wentz. That's assuming he's injured. I mean, Wentz is a shell of himself. He is one good hit away from maybe never playing again. And quite frankly, I like the other 2 guys. I think Tyrod Taylor has too much upside.
Didn't Carson Wentz play well before he got injured, though? I mean, overall, not for NFL purposes, but for fantasy purposes, Carson Wentz was actually startable this week. Yeah, he was actually a good quarterback, especially for 2-quarterback leagues. Up against the Rams, by the way, who have one of the best defenses in the entire league. So I don't want to move on from Carson Wentz. Thomas, how are you feeling?
See, I almost agree with everything Jordan said, but as you just mentioned, 17.58 fantasy points for the same format of 4 passing touchdowns. Going 20 of 31 for 247 and finding Pittman over and over and over again. I think he looked just fine settling in considering the time he missed in the preseason. So I am trading Tua because that injury looked nasty. The x-rays apparently came back negative. They're going to do more scans tomorrow. So that's important to keep watch on. Jacoby Brissett looked bad. So be concerned about all the Dolphins fantasy options. Very concerned.
Sell.
And then I'm cutting Tyrod Taylor because he doesn't hold fantasy value like at all. So I'm trading Tua because he has the best dynasty value right now. I am cutting Tyrod because there's no long term, and I'm just gonna bench Wentz because he's just fine in 2 quarterback leagues. Again, 17.58 points. Matthew Stafford had 17.22 in that same game. So quarterback is fickle. As much as he might have looked gross, just don't watch the game. Don't watch the game and just look at your fantasy team after, and you'll be happy.
Jordan, your dad, right?
Yep.
He's in the medical industry. So from your dad's medical perspective, what does he think of Tua's injury?
Rib injuries are very tricky. So as Thomas said, he went and got x-rays. They're negative. You won't be able to see a rib injury unless it's fractured or broken on an MRI. The problem is you get that injury torn and there's no healing or there's no kind of prevention or rehab for it. It's like a toe injury. He could have to wear a flak jacket. There is a possibility he punctured a lung. That doesn't always show up on an x-ray. So it depends. Rib injuries are very, very tricky. So we're going to have to wait and see on the MRI. So again, I think to Thomas's point, we hold there on Tua.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on to something more positive. We'll talk about Christian McCaffrey. Is he still an RB1 after this week? I mean, nobody knows, right? Like this is just up in the air. Totally kidding. Let's move on to something else that's actually more relevant. DJ Moore.
Christian McCaffrey.
DJ Moore up against a very, very good Saints defense. 8 receptions, 79 yards, 1 touchdown. Who is the wide receiver to own in this offense outside of Christian McCaffrey? I know he's running back still.
I can't believe you just asked that question.
I have to ask.
I can't believe you asked who the number 1 is outside of Christian McCaffrey. It's DJ Moore, and it's not the guy does things that NFL receivers wish they can do time and time again, and I get it. He hasn't scored touchdowns, Tom. I understand that, but he's going to. He's going to be
that to you like that.
Relax. I was told, and I'm not kidding. I have been told that DJ Moore has the chance to finish 4th on the team in targets because Robbie Anderson's going to push him down. And he pushed him down because he took his job last year and he had more targets. DJ Moore's profile coming out of college was fantastic. He has back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons with dog water level quarterback play. And Sam Darnold, as much as everyone wants to take a giant dookie on him for his career with New York, looks just fine under Joe Brady's tutelage. So chill out, relax. Okay. DJ Moore is the wide receiver to own. I don't care about Robbie Anderson in Dynasty. I want Terrace Marshall, but other than that, it's DJ Moore. You never sit him. Okay. Not only is he getting yes, I'm 1,000% sure.
What about Brandon Zylstra? Because Brandon Zylstra, dude, he dominated stuff today. Dude, did anybody see Brandon Zylstra? What was the other guy that I actually sent in a group chat? Like the fullback, I think, like scoring the first 2 touchdowns. The Browns fullback, I think, like the first 2 touchdowns of the game came from Brandon Zylstra, or the week. I'm sorry.
Colin Johnson looked really good running his routes today in the time that he got to see the field. Miss me. DJ Moore, baby. It's
all day.
It's done. That's it.
Not even close. He's a terp. His college wide receiver coach was Keenan McCardell. The kid runs routes like a friggin' champ. Just start him.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about college resumes and Zach Wilson while we're here. Zach Wilson threw 4 interceptions. 3 of them came in the first half before they started to just run the ball while they were still down to try and prevent Zach Wilson from completely destroying his entire, career by throwing 20 interceptions off the bat, becoming the next Nathan Peterman, essentially. Like
Bill Belichick would have had him seeing ghosts like Darnold, and it was over.
And we're going to bring this up, but I feel like Joe Burrow was seeing ghosts, and I do want to talk about that. We're going to bring that back to it in a second. But what I want to talk about Zach Wilson. Is he going to be a success in this offense? Is it just that 1 week as a New England Patriots, I guess just casualty, essentially, because Bill Belichick just dominates every single rookie quarterback? Or is this Zach Wilson and what we expect to see where he has these up and down games like Jameis Winston does?
Look, if you've lived under a rock since Bill Belichick's been in the NFL and you haven't realized that he absolutely mollywops rookie and young quarterbacks, I think it's under 24. His record is astronomically impossible to replicate. Don't panic. Last week, Zach Wilson went out and put up 18.32 points against a Carolina team, this week that shut down the New Orleans offense, right? So they're not a bad team in Carolina, obviously, from what we've seen. And Zach Wilson put up respectable numbers, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 258 yards, gave you nothing on the ground, but that's to be expected. Do not panic about Zach Wilson.
He's a total buy for me. He's a total buy in Dynasty. Redraft, probably leave him alone. But as far as Dynasty goes, or multi-quarterback leagues, all day. The kid's got upside. The Jets, I mean, I've got jokes until my hair fall out, but they're the Jets. They are getting better. And to your point, if you judge a rookie quarterback, or particularly a Jets rookie quarterback, against their performance against Bill Belichick, again, welcome back from outer space. We have COVID here now. Bill Belichick owns both of those things in life. And, just come on in. I mean, he might as well. It's the Jets formula, the Jets variant. He might as well be COVID to the Jets.
Jets variant? Oh, my God.
Yeah, the Queens variant of COVID.
The other thing about the Jets is, if you look at the target distribution and what the Jets did today, Corey Davis only had 5 targets, right? The 8 yards. Elijah Moore, 8 targets, 4 receptions, right? Braxton Berrios had 11.
What?
Target monster.
Braxton Berrios had 11 targets.
It's a slot over there for the Jets. I don't get it.
They sat Denzel Mims, healthy scratch with Crowder out.
All right, so here's the deal with Dynasty, right?
Brutal.
Here's the deal with Dynasty. At the price. Sorry, I just had something come in my ear. That's what she said. All right, so as we sit there and we look at like Zach Wilson, right? And this price. His price is super attainable. It is super attainable, and it's somebody that can actually win you a trophy. And that's my biggest thing with Zach Wilson is I keep on bringing this up. I'm like, this guy in Dynasty can end up winning you a trophy. This guy can win you a trophy. This guy can win you a trophy. And when you end up getting that, a bit, or that chance to win a trophy, right? You should go to TrophySmack.com.
There it is.
Because TrophySmack.com is the best place to get a trophy. If you guys have ever seen Shark Tank, right? Then all 5 sharks invested in this company. All 5, not just one, not just Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban headed it, but all 5 sharks invested in this company, TrophySmack.com. And when you enter in promo code DHHRing, it's DHHRing. When you purchase a trophy or a belt and you put that ring in your cart, guess what? You get that ring for free, and that ring is a $60 ring. So go check it out. They've got endorsements, right, from Ian Hartitz, from everybody in the industry. They're like, dude, who made these belts? Who made these trophies? These things are sick. That's when you need to go to DHH, or you need to go to TrophySmack.com, enter in promo code DHH, and capitalize on that investment. Dude, get your trophy with a ring included. Once again, TrophySmack.com, use promo code DHHRing for a free $60 ring.
Yeah, get that loser, that last place loser ring, something for free.
Dude,
we gotta recognize our losers as much as our winners.
I guess so. I guess that could always work. They also have like loose prizes on there too. Their website is really, really sick. Go check it out. TripSmack.com.
That is cool.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to Joe Burrow, who we just brought up. Joe Burrow was atrocious in this matchup. The whole offense is atrocious. Can we talk about how they should have drafted Penny Sewell, over Jamar Chase? Should we just spend like the next hour talking about that?
No.
Jamar Chase did look great in this matchup. He did end up performing, and for fantasy purposes, you want Jamar Chase, right? Because he was the only bright spot, I think, in this entire offense. Correct me if I'm wrong. T. Higgins, did he fumble twice?
Yes.
He fumbled twice.
Like not even hit, just sort of let go of the ball.
Joe Mixon was atrocious. Like, he was not, holding, his spot down. What I mean, talk to me. Like, what do you guys think about this offense? Is that your dad?
That is my father-in-law.
Oh, cool. Thomas at all.
Hi, Robert.
What are we feeling about this Bengals team? Is Cliff Kingsbury? Is Taylor going to get fired? What's going to happen? What do y'all see from this offense moving forward?
I do see him getting fired.
Taylor? Yeah.
If they can't give Burrow a chance, then he has no shot to be successful. I mean, that was my play of the day. Cincy getting 2 at the Bears. Bears aren't very good, but honestly, I knew I lost the bet as soon as Andy Dalton went out of the game. I was like, oh, shit, here we go. So it was ugly, but that was also maybe the ugliest game I've seen him play as a pro so far. So I'll throw out my outliers here. I'm going to keep riding with him.
It is the Bears defense, right? And they're not pushovers. I know, like, they're not the same invincible defense, right, from years past, but they're still darn good, right? So it's not shocking to me that this game went south for them. This is one of those games where the box scores are probably not going to tell all of the stories. You're probably going to want to dive into the advanced statistics. But if you want to just break down, look, Mixon, 2 targets. That's not good. Chris Evans had 1. P. Ryan had 1. Not good. T. Higgins, 10. Boyd, 9. And Jamar Chase only had 4 targets. You have to script that guy more plays. Just script it. Figure it out. Doodle it on the sidelines. Use the NFL etch and sketch pad to figure out what you have to do. The guy had a breakout first week, and you're like, hey, coach, we're going to get Jamar Chase the ball, and he's just, no, I don't want to have a job next season, so we're just,
he worked really hard last week. Yeah.
We like to use betas here on the Bengals, so we saw something good from Chase, so now we're not going to use them the rest of the year. We're really thriving for that 4th overall pick, so we can draft an offensive lineman like we should have this year.
Well, speaking of betas, right? I mean, Calvin Ridley looked like a beta tonight. Outside of
because he's not a true alpha. You're correct.
He's not a true alpha. Thank you so much, Thomas. How do y'all feel about Calvin Ridley? Let's go ahead and let it all out. Is he the next Juju Smith-Schuster? Obviously, Juju plays in the slot. Calvin Ridley's a field stretcher. But either way, they have roles. They're not alphas, right? I mean, are we thinking that Calvin Ridley, this is a situation as where he's an alpha and he just needs to, spread his wings? He's a peacock. Let him fly? Or is this something as to where, like, yeah, he had a couple plays, he will make plays because he will get the targets, but he was way overvalued prior to draft season.
The Calvin Ridley is the wide receiver 1 time in the offseason this year was the most mind-blowing thing I'd ever seen. He's 26 already. Obviously came out late. He's not a yak guy, right? He falls
down a lot.
He is like shiny, glistening Tyler Boyd on this team. And that's what it is. He can catch deep balls, but it's not because he's burning people. His route running is great. Fantastic. All starting wide receivers route running should be really good. He has hands. He's going to have targets. Fantastic. But he is not able to create like other wide receivers can that are younger and more sturdy. You're going to hate to admit it, but Calvin Ridley, wide receiver 15 season is likely upon us. So enjoy that.
Yep.
I like it. I agree with that 100%. It's a fun play to sit there and play Calvin Ridley, but he is way overvalued this season.
He's an alpha beta.
He's going to be steady, but he's not going like if I'm going against the manager that is playing Ridley, I'm not like, oh God, Calvin Ridley's gonna win the week. No, I'm not worried about it.
Let's talk
Sorry,
about
he's
somebody
going to need
that
multiple
should,
touchdowns.
let's talk about somebody that should give you panic attacks, right? That has not
Yeah.
performed over the first 2 weeks, and that's AJ Brown, right?
Oof.
AJ Brown's been double covered. Julio Jones is doing this thing. What the hell is happening over there with AJ Brown?
I think it's game plan right now. I do. I mean, Tennessee just beat Seattle on the last second field goal in overtime. If you guys didn't see
Should have
it,
been a safety.
yep, should have. But
Garbage call.
I don't think that they have a clear script for their passing game yet. I don't think they know what they want to do. Last year was very clear. It was just feed those beasts, but it doesn't seem as clear this year through 2 games.
I mean, AJ Brown's day would have been a lot different had he caught the big play, right? He had the drop. He still had 9 targets. 9 friggin' targets. Stay the course with AJ Brown. I know we all wanted to see him have yak yards like he had the last 2 seasons, which is like an unsustainable amount of yak yardage. He was Jamal Charles at wide receiver, just bigger, right? It was absolutely, he was disgusting. And his touchdowns to, he had 70, I think he had 71 receptions and 11 touchdowns last year. He obviously needs to have more opportunity to keep that flow going, but he still had 9 targets today. This is one of those players, and me and Tom Lee talk about this on the Fantasy Walkabout all the time. You need to be active in your leagues, checking in on how managers are doing and checking in and feeling out how they're feeling about those players. So if you're in Dynasty and you want to check out a feeler on how that AJ Brown manager is feeling right now, because he could be full on tilting about it, especially with how Derrick Henry took over that game while they were down, which is what they do. Go put out a few feeler offers for him and see what's floating around, because his time will come. But boy, did Julio look like Julio. Should have had a touchdown. That call was disgusting. It was gross, and it would have put Julio Jones up for one of the better fantasy games of his career. So he had 18.8 points today in standard PPR, six catches on 8 targets, 128 yards, and he missed out on 1 because of a horrific call.
Yep.
Easily could have been a top 5 wide receiver on the week.
Let's talk about the top performing wide receiver. Oh, go ahead, Jordan.
I was going to say, to your point about DJ Moore, Julio Jones is a player that went 3 seasons where he didn't catch touchdowns, but was still a receiver 1. So think about that when you think about DJ Moore.
His target volume, volume was gross, though. That's what did it. Targets are king, right?
Oh, absolutely. Opportunity.
And yeah.
Opportunities.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into a guy that got a ton of targets, we'll say that, and did not perform at a high end level. We'll talk. You know what? No. I'm going to switch this up. I want to talk about a guy who
audible.
We're going to audible this, right? This is a player who actually helped the team win, and it was up against a tougher team that most people thought, was going to limit his upside, and they didn't expect much from it. With Henry Ruggs coming in with 5 receptions for 113 yards, 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
Do y'all want to talk about Ruggs at all?
Yes, I do. I really do, because I don't have it in front of me right now, but I want to see how much of that was yak, because
it was not.
The thing with Henry Ruggs is that Alabama, he wasn't the go deep burner, right, that he got used for last year. He was the intermediate catches, the ends, the sharp outs where he got to turn and use his speed and create his own yards, kind of like what we've gotten used to with AJ Brown. But he had a big day today, and this is something that the managers that had been buying into Ruggs and holding on to him for everything they can, I wouldn't blame you for jumping ship, but I want to tell you why you shouldn't jump ship right now. And it's Derek freaking Carr has in back-to-back weeks. And I know, Chase, you're smiling because you're a big Derek Carr guy. Derek Carr has never finished below QB 24 in his fantasy career, as far as I am aware. 382 yards today and 2 touchdowns.
He's so
obviously good. They gave Peyton Barber 13 carries with John Gruden. Give me a freaking break, dude. Get over yourself. But Henry Ruggs had a carry for 2 yards. They manufactured him touches, 5 catches, 113. The score, obviously. Darren Waller did his thing. Brian Edwards had 3 targets that hopefully weren't in the last, couple minutes to beat the Ravens. But Renfro, 5-7, very standard counting type day. But Henry Ruggs, that's the guy to be watching, because if Derek Carr is letting it loose and they're scripting plays for this guy, he will be just fine.
Yep, 100%. He's the athlete. They just got to give him those touches, let him get in space and do what he does best. They need to stop, kind of to your point, just being like, all right, run out routes and go routes, and that's it. Well, NFL speed is very different than college speed. NFL corners can cover that, and a safety can cover enough ground to make up that. So you're exactly right. They need to put him either in a slot or in the X and get him those opportunities that are better for him.
Right. Now, and look, he never should have been the first receiver off the board.
Absolutely not.
Like, hilariously should have been the first receiver off the board. And in no way is this like a Derek Carr is going to make Henry Ruggs a viable top-end wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside. That favorite saying that goes out there. He's a wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside weekly. He's not. Like, he's not even at like a Deshaun Jackson level, but it's something to watch and something to feel excited about, a player that let so many people down last year.
Yeah, they have to script him right, obviously, and Henry Ruggs is still going to be a focal point of this offense moving forward. They're still working on his inside routes. They're still making sure that's right. But Derek Carr, man, dude, he looks impressive so far to start the year. And this Raiders team, I know they want to run, but they're going to have to pass, and we've seen it now 2 weeks in a row. Let's talk about the Dolphins real quick, and then we're going to end up, starting to close out. Actually, yeah, let's talk about the Dolphins.
Can I just do one more thing too?
Nope.
I know the Raiders have been a punching bag on defense, and it's like we should target the Raiders in fantasy matchups, but I would think twice about that, because Gus Bradley is a good defensive coordinator, and they kind of shellacked the Steelers offense all around, holding them out. And I know he had Big Ben at 295 yards, but they weren't pretty yards. They were all short. They shut Najee down. Like, don't totally attack Raiders defenses in weekly matchups.
Well, let's go ahead and answer this question. Are we feeling nervous about anybody in week 2? Or after week 2, I should say. And Miles Sanders is one of my favorite players, right? Like, so far this year. I'm going to go ahead and say it because I talked about it, and he started out hot. He started out so hot, and he ended up like crushing everything. And I know Jordan's over here laughing his ass off because we talked about this morning on our Starter Shit Show. And
I hate Miles Sanders.
He hates him, but he looked good, and actually made a comment about it halfway through the show. Cause I'm like, or halfway through the game. So I'm like, dude, he is crushing it right now. Like, he looks so good. And then they stopped using him. And this is what happened last year. It's like he starts out real hot, and then all of a sudden, really, Bentley, really, you have to come in like this. And then all of a sudden, he doesn't look good. Yeah, I know, right? And all of a sudden, like, they stopped using him. And it's what happened last year. So we're afraid of Miles Sanders because it's getting me nervous.
Right. For me, it's Najee Harris. Now, before everyone, but Najee Harris had 19 fantasy points in PPR league.
Why do you keep talking in that voice? I'm so confused.
It is my people that I don't want to hear talk voice. All right.
So why are you pass that on to us?
Because I have to inform you of why I'm coming this way. But look, Najee Harris did save his day as a receiver. 100%. 5 receptions, 43 yards. He had 19.1 points in PPR, but he scored. And you take away, and I know, you take away the touchdown. The offense looked dreadful. It looked horrible. Najee Harris is he's a touchdown or kind of bust type player right now, especially if you're not playing in PPR leagues. And for the draft capital you spent on him, I would be concerned about his ability to put up the numbers you are hoping for week to week. I agree with Big Billy FFs, my co-host every Friday, his statement that there will not be an RB1 out of the rookie running backs this year. I still believe that. And their schedule doesn't get a whole lot better. So I'd be worried about Najee Harris needing touchdowns to salvage days.
Jordan, do you have a player, or would you like to piggyback up on ours?
Those are the two top guys that I would say. But then the guy on my watch list, he hasn't played yet, is Aaron Jones. In my league, it's a keeper. It's a dynasty league. So those three guys were pretty much our first three draft choices. And just given the amount of capital I think you've invested in guys like this is something that you're maybe kind of starting to get worried about. That's kind of my concern. I'm throwing out everything I saw from Green Bay last week because it's an outlier. But Aaron Jones is kind of in that situation where I'm going to give some pause to think about. I really agree with the two guys you mentioned, and I really picked Jones just as an add-on player there because of his high draft stock.
So Bentley's never been like this forward ever on the show. Like he's come on the shows briefly, but he is really just. Oh God, don't let him see the corgi. Bentley, see the corgi?
Oh yeah.
Now he has a weird thing for corgis, but let's go ahead and close this show out on the. Let's finish on the Eagles. Like Jalen Hurts did not look good. He looked good on certain instances, right? Like Jalen Hurts actually crushed it. Are you holding a lamb? You're holding a lamb.
It's Patrick, the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast HR alpaca.
Actually, it's an alpaca. Okay, so no, but as we look forward, right? Like, I mean, yeah, some of the ones went out of bounds. Like, some of these passes were not great. I'm kind of nervous about Jalen Hurts moving forward. Like, we thought that he was this stud, and then it turns out that the guy got pushed out of bounds. It just was not there. So, with that being said, is there a concern for the Eagles moving forward with Devonta Smith, Jalen Reagor, any one of these guys, or are you still on board with them for fantasy purposes?
Grab Jalen Hurts and hold on to him tightly and be very wary of everyone else week to week.
Yep, I'm with you. I like Devonta Smith. I like both of the wide receivers as being serviceable. You just need to, again, temper your expectations around them. Reagor had the big play today. It's going to be, and it's going to be pick your poison between the two as far as that big play goes. Philly's not going to get you a bunch of those plays every week, probably one. So it's really pick your poison between the wide receivers.
All right, so who do y'all have tonight? Is Marquise Brown going to be a play? What's going to happen tonight? Nobody really knows. Wait, we got a Ravens fan.
We got two Ravens fans.
Oh, two Ravens fans, obviously.
Yeah.
Jordan Thomas.
This game is going to be disgusting.
Yes, it is.
It's going to be not good. I've got
bloodbath.
30. I have 37-13 for Kansas City. It's going to be gross and disgusting and horrific. If you're playing this slate DFS, avoid it. If you're relying on Lamar Jackson to win you the week this week, don't. They don't have Stanley, right? And their tackles were already horrific. Yep. Villanueva looked like absolute dog water, kind of like the one that Bentley drinks day in, day out. It looked horrendous.
Lukewarm, tepid dog water.
Yeah, he was so bad. They had 19 pressures from their tackle positions last week against Max freaking Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue. The Chiefs are going to absolutely wreck. Maybe if you have Andrews, you'll be fine, but just absolutely gross.
Yeah, I think if Lamar gets it done, it's on the ground.
Yeah.
My dog is going nuts right now, and you know why? It's because I have not shown him yet the stats that are happening up there, fantasy points.
Yeah.
He's like, Chase, you have to look up fantasy points. And I'm like, I've been trying, but I can't because you're all over the keyboard, and I got a show to do. And he's like, dude, it's fantasy points. It's this important.
I was wondering why you were on mute.
No, he's yelling at me. It's like fantasy points. He's literally yelling at me fantasy points. And I know dogs can't talk normally, but this dog can. And he's saying fantasy points.
All right.
Have you guys ever seen fantasy points? Fantasypoints.com? That is the best site, right? When it comes to tools and resources to help you win, especially for like DFS. And oh my God, he just literally went to bed. He's like, hey, I'm done with you. I'm going to bed. You finally talked about it. Because it needs to be talked about. I'm done. My job is done. Bentley said, my job is done. I'm going to bed. You're now talking about fantasypoints.com. It is seriously like the site is one of the best sites in the world for DFS, for pretty much any kind of resources, including, Dynasty as well. But if you enter in code 21DHH10, so 21DHH10, it'll actually get you 10% off the in-season DFS tools and resources. Go check it out. Go sign up for Fantasy Points. It's by far one of the best sites. 21DHH10 for 10% off of the price. Go check it out, guys. Go sign up. And let's go ahead and close this episode out. Thomas,
Yep.
Where can we find you? We'll start out with you this time.
So one more time, that's Thomas Simple FF on the Bird app out there in the ether. You can catch me Tuesday at the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast presents the Fantasy Walkabout. Then that's with Tom_Lee92 all the way in Australia. And
Crikey.
Fridays, you can catch me with my mates, FF_RTDB. You know him from the Wednesday fantasy intervention show with Chase. And many arguments about Tony Pollard on the Bird app. And, of course, with Big Billy FF Friday at Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. And also, you can catch my stuff every time you see something pop out for fantasy intervention in the Dynasty Vipers. So check us out.
Jordan?
Yep, catch me on Twitter or in these streets on Twitter. It's at Santos L Halper 83, or my content over at Join Our Circle _ or fantasyintervention.com. You can also catch me hopefully every week on this Fantasy Start Sit show we'll be doing Sunday mornings, and this lovely show we're going to do every even week of the NFL season. So thanks for tuning in tonight.
Listen, I have so many different places y'all can find me, so I'm just going to leave it very, very simple. Otherwise, we'd be going until probably the game started, so we don't want to do that. We want to get you guys out of here. Go check me out over there on Twitter at @FF_intervention. So many different things going on, and I posted all in there. So, yeah, thank you guys for coming in. And
Absolutely.
Tyler, are you here? Are you here, Tyler? Because we're about ready to close this show out. We appreciate you guys for coming in. Thank you guys for chasing points with us, and we will see you in week 4.